Games! Since the birth of human civilization, we have played games. They help us relax, escape. They entertain us, and often they help keep our minds strong. But is there a darker side to recreation? They say that playing video games for too long can kill you, but what about paranormal games like the Ouija Board? Are some games cursed? Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that looks to answer all manner of queries. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we are taking a dark dive into the world of entertainment as we ask, what are scary games you should never play? Before we get into this video, why don't you guys let me know what games you play in the comment section. I'm a board game gal and I love Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride, but I also love chess. What about you guys? Are you into The Sims, League of Legends? Do you play Halo or Candy Crush? Or do you play Solitaire? Perhaps you love Drafts or Connect 4. Whatever you're into, I am here for it. If you're here for us, then please do leave a thumbs up on this video and stick around to the end to hear some replies to comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it! Do it now. Okay. Games. Games can mean many things. There are internet games, video games, arcade games, ghostly games, sports games, and board games, and more. Many games. I'm going to be taking you through the whole menagerie of games and spooks, starting with the World Wide Web. So with the rise of the internet, new games have been created and they haven't all been good, vis-a-vis the internet challenges. The so-called Blue Whale Challenge reared its ugly head on social media networks in 2016, and the so-called game worked by giving a series of tasks to players over a 50-day period, which would then include self-harm. The final task was to commit suicide. While you would think that nobody would be fool enough to be that committed to a game, unfortunately, they were. A Russian official linked the game to 200 deaths in that country alone. Similarly, the Momo Challenge came along, although some people have hailed it as a hoax. Nonetheless, the premise was very similar, a social media challenge aimed at disturbing children and teenagers. The Charlie Challenge evoked mass hysteria in 2015, which was a game using two pencils in a cross formation with no, yes, no written in respective quadrants. The game would encourage players to invoke the spirit of a dead person and ask them questions, which would be answered by manipulation of the pencils. Cue hundreds of videos on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram of kids freaking out. The so-called challenge was evocative of other scary games from decades of urban legends, like the Candyman and Bloody Mary mirror games that are also fuel for social hysteria. The legend goes that if you stare into a mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times, she will appear to you and maybe even attack you. While I've never heard of anyone actually getting whacked by a mirror ghost, the mania that can come from the paranormal game makes it pretty scary and at times a bit dangerous to play. Even if they aren't actually cursed, I have to say, you know, hysteria. I remember playing a schoolyard game when I was 8 or so years old called Devil's Dog, and big red scratches did appear on one of the players' backs, but it was likely a psychosomatic reaction to the frenzy. It isn't just social challenges and spooky mirror games that are said to be cursed either. Video games have been popular since the late 1970s. Most recently, Fallout 3 has been labelled as cursed as a result of mysterious Morse code peppered throughout the game. The rumour gained so much traction that the game designers Beth Desser had to deny that there are any hidden messages in the game whatsoever. Who knows though? Fallout fans, what do you think? I wouldn't recommend playing any kind of game found on the dark web either, but there are plenty. In 2015, YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner lived up to their name when they shared a scary screenplay of a game called Sad Satan. During this game, players wander down a dark corridor. There'd be radio bursts from time to time and a blank screen with strange markings. The Reddit user claimed to have decoded the message and claimed that it said, "Kill, kill, kill, and I can track you." Once again, not a game that I want to be playing. Finally, at the end of the game, it cuts to a blank screen in which the phrase "suffering doesn't end" appears. Whether or not this game is an actual game, any dark web dalliance is not likely to end well. Alongside the dangers of dark web games, there are also fake games created in order to steal your data or infect your software with viruses, which is pretty scary. Whatever you do, you don't want to play Killswitch. This is somewhat of an urban legend, but it seems like the game Killswitch was created by Russians in the Soviet Union era. 10,000 copies of the game were released during difficult Soviet times in 1989. This was a time that Russians were afraid that they were losing control, and, well, they were right. Allegedly, the game was a horror game in which you had to battle demons and monsters in an abandoned coal mine, kind of a bit like Doom, which actually, to be totally fair, is a really scary game that you should only play if you're brave enough. With Killswitch, allegedly no one could prove that they had completed the game, as when they were done, it would magically delete itself from their computer. Weird. The urban legend continues by claiming that in 2005, 2005, an unopened copy cropped up in Japan and was played by a YouTuber. The YouTuber in question played the game, but unfortunately he only ever made one video, a video of him staring at his computer and crying. That's the last we ever saw or heard from him. There is a legendary arcade game associated with a spooky curse too. I want to talk about Polybus, although I'm breaking a fundamental rule by the game's namesake. The game is named after an ancient Greek historian who said that you should never report what you can't verify. And of course, as this is a legend, I can't verify it at all. The Polybus story seems to have emerged in the year 2000 in Portland, Oregon, and suggests some kind of government conspiracy. Basically, the story goes that a black box arcade game started showing up in arcades across the city. The game didn't have any branding, it was simply black and mysterious, but people were intrigued and played it anyway. The game seemed to involve geometric patterns and eye-wateringly bright, colourful shapes. Seizure. It seemed like the game was hypnotizing people, making them sick or in some cases making them disappear. After the gamers played, men in black suits were allegedly seen servicing the machine, which led to rumors that it was part of the CIA's MK Ultra mind control pursuits, which actually did happen. So, what about more traditional games? Do they have a scary dark edge too? Well, let me tell you about the ancient Chinese game of Bo. Bo is a game played with a 14-faced dice, and the story goes that it led to the deaths of 500,000 people. Yes, you did hear me correctly. The people of the Han Dynasty loved a bit of Bo. In fact, two ancient Chinese kingdoms were brought together when two decided to play, kind of like a modern-day league. Louis Shan played Prince Qi, but as Shan won the game, Qi got very angry and threw the heavy board at the visitor's head, which unfortunately killed him. Shan's father was livid and declared war on the opposing kingdom, marching 500,000 troops towards the capital. What ensued was a bloody war that killed hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians, and, well, the game's been less popular ever since. Some say that Yahtzee is the modern-day equivalent of Bo. Yahtzee is said to cause the most violent outbursts of all modern games. Yahtzee is played with a round of 13, which is already leading me to a lot of cursed musings, but hoodoo voodoo aside, it seems that actually it does make people pretty angry. Dozens of people have died after Yahtzee games have turned nasty as a result. I have to say, Yahtzee itself sounds pretty nasty. Other games to steer clear of? Jarts. Lawn darts. These have caused a whole host of accidents, some of which involved mutilation and even death. I guess any game that involves you throwing what is essentially large thin daggers should be steered clear of. As I reach the end of this video, I want to talk to you about the ultimate scary game that I've saved to last, and yes, it did start out as a game. Anyone can guess? 3, 2, 1. Did you get it? I am of course talking about the Ouija board. I'm not too sure what I believe in, but I have to say, I wouldn't be messing around with the Ouija board. I just don't think it's something that you should play with. The board is arranged into letters and numbers, symbols, and yes and no. It is used to communicate with spirits and has infamously been at the center of a number of possession scandals. Would you guys trust in a Ouija board? Personally, once again, I would steer clear. I have to question though at this point, is it about the game or is it about the mind frame of the player? So guys, that is a whole load of scary games for you. What do you think about them? Would you play? Are there any games that you think that we shouldn't play? Do let me know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to let me know your favorites. Before I go, I'm just going to read some comments from one of my most recent videos. What scary Ed and Lorraine Warren cases should we reopen? Questions. Chasen Brown said, I don't mess with ghosts or demons, not saying they aren't real. My co-worker is a ghost hunter and ended up in the hospital. I guess he should have called Ghostbusters. Lol. I do believe in the Holy Ghost. Does that count? Listen, I feel like we need some more information, especially about your roommate who is a Ghostbuster. What? Boy Ghost simply said, I love scary things. Cool. Me too. Glad we figured that one out. So guys, thank you once again for watching this video. Did you enjoy it? An easy way to let me know is by leaving a big, beautiful thumbs up on this video. If you haven't yet clicked on that notification bell to stay up to date with big answers, then do so now. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate. I'll catch you in the next video. But until then, please do stay curious, stay alert, and never ever stop questioning.